Coach Long is nice enough to join us on Extra Sports. Coach, it's great to have you on the show. How's life on the Mesa treating you?
It's going okay right now. It's kind of a slow time of year for us. We do some spring recruiting and spring ball's over, so this is our downtime, so to speak.
Does it feel like you've been on the job a while, or does it still feel very fresh and new?
Well, since it's not my first go-around, it feels like I've been on the job for quite a while.
Coach, how was your spring practices and your spring game?
I thought we made progress. You know, it's never good enough for a coach, but we made some progress, and I enjoyed being out there with them because they were trying so hard and trying to get better, but we got a long way to go to be any good.
What did you learn most in terms of areas for improvement? What were some of the learning points?
Well, I think that we have to improve in the defensive line. We got some young guys there that are going to have to play as redshirt freshmen, and I thought we were very spotty there. I thought the offensive line was pretty good, but there's a lack of depth. I thought the quarterbacks, it was good. I think our running back situation's really good. I think the biggest question is our wide receivers, because we're going to be playing some young guys that have a lot of ability, but they won't look like the two we had last year right off the bat. You know, it might take them a while to mature into that kind of player, but and we got a good kicker and we got a good punter, and that always helps.
Coach, that's what I was wondering. With the offensive style obviously probably changing, do you become more methodical, running the ball, then try to use play action pass with Escobar, the receiving tight end? How is this offense going to change?
Well, you said it. It's not going to change because we're gonna be a pro style team. We'll do some one back stuff. We'll do some shotgun stuff, but we're gonna be a two back team most of the time. We're gonna run the ball. We're gonna run power plays and ISO plays, and the best thing about that is if you can do that effectively, the passing game has some wide open looks, and our young receivers have some talent, and they can beat one-on-one coverage. The problem is if they don't threaten anybody out there, they can put 8, 9, even 10 in the box, and now you can't run the ball, and if you can't hurt them throwing it, so you have to be balanced. Now, hopefully we can run the ball good enough that those guys can get some one-on-one coverage and show their athletic ability.
But my thing, I'm thinking about Ryan Lindley. I mean, when you've been throwing to guys like DeMarco Sampson and Vincent Brown, you get spoiled a little bit. You want to go downfield a lot because you know you have the arm to do it. You had wide receivers to do it. Do you almost have to caution him or say to him, you could be a little bit frustrated because we're not going to exactly go downfield the same way that you got accustomed to kind of get him even keel so he doesn't get frustrated by, not doing the same things that he's done in the past?
I think the best thing about Ryan is he's matured into a very, very good quarterback. So he knows the situation, and he did at times get frustrated in spring practice because he's throwing the ball on time and expecting receivers to be certain places because he read the coverage right and the receivers read the coverage wrong, and so the receiver's not where he's supposed to be, and the pass either goes incomplete or at times it got intercepted, and I think during spring practice that was a little frustrating to him, but he's such a good guy and he's so mature for a quarterback at this level that he understands the situation, and he's such a good player. He's going to make those receivers better, and I think that he's in the process of trying to teach them just like everybody else is.
Aztecs head coach Rocky Long, our guest on Extra Sports. Coach, the name Andy Ludwig is a name some people on the West Coast may know, some people may not know, but for our listeners, for the fans out there, tell us a little bit about your new offensive coordinator.
Well, Andy has had a lot of experience as an offensive coordinator. He's been an offensive coordinator at 4 or 5 places. The last place was the University of Cal. But where I got to meet him and know him and found out about his expertise was when we were playing against each other when he was the offensive coordinator at Utah. And he was there for 3 or 4 years, and he was there in the glory years, the years they went to the Sugar Bowl and beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. And very similar philosophy as Al Borges as far as the type of offense, want to establish the run, use play-action pass. He actually played for Al Borges in college. Al was offensive coordinator, and Andy was a receiver at Portland State. But very similar ideas, very experienced, knows how to tweak his offense to take advantage of the better players. Lucky to have him.
Coach, I know by now you're obviously aware of the USD situation with the federal investigation into point shaving, but as a head coach of college kids, how much do you emphasize to them, maybe in spring ball or when the freshmen come in at the beginning of camp, the potential perils and pitfalls of all types of distractions out there for a college player?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that because a lot of people that don't know what goes on behind the scenes don't realize the education that those guys get on all that stuff. From the time they walk in as freshmen, it's 3 or 4 times a year that there's actually seminars that teach them about gambling and drugs and the unsavory characters out there that they're going to try to get an advantage and use them as their pawns. And I mean, there's a constant education going on. Now, you also try to educate them as a coach when you have team meetings. We had a team meeting today, and probably we spent 20 to 30 minutes discussing the situation at USD. There's a lot of distractions out there. There's a lot of people out there that will take advantage of these kids, and you know, you can give them all the education in the world, and some of them are still going to make the wrong decision. But they're educated from the time they walk onto campus.
See, that's important for all of us to know. They're not just wandering around naive and ignorant. You guys train them. Rocky Long getting ready for his first season as the Aztecs head coach. I'm not kidding when I use the words Heisman hopeful with Ronnie Hillman. This guy's been incredible, and we, the media, draw parallels to Marshall Faulk. But how's he looking, the body? Is he growing? Is he on a regiment to gain some weight? How is Ronnie's offseason going?
Well, he's gotten a little bit bigger. I'm guessing he's a little bit over 190 pounds. You know, he's not very tall. He's strong. He's a lot stronger than he was a year or so ago, and a little bit bigger. But that's not what makes him. I mean, he's not a power guy. He's not going to try to run over you. So the trick is to get him as big and strong without him losing any of his quickness and lateral movement and speed. So he's improving at probably the proper rate, and he looked really good in spring ball and worked hard, and he's working hard now. And, you know, I always caution everybody because he is a very talented young man, but everybody forgets that he's not going anywhere unless the big boys up front give him some room.
Spoken like a true coach. Your offensive and defensive line first. Coach, I want to go back to Ryan Lindley for a second, only because this is his senior year. This is a guy right here who, you know, with a big year could put himself somewhere nice in the NFL draft, but this is going to be the type of year that I think NFL scouts are going to have to really look at him because his numbers may not be the same because his wide receivers aren't the same, but his leadership of this team may be one of the better years ever for him, but you got to actually look close to see what Ryan Lindley's real values are for this upcoming year.
I think you're exactly right, and I think that they've watched him already. All the pro scouts that come by here have already watched him from last year. They've graded how he, you know, sits in the pocket, how he throws the ball, how he reads defenses. They've already you know, evaluated him very, very closely so far. So they know what he is, and they know what he is with really good receivers at the wideouts. But now what they get to find out is since he is the guy, and they will know that he has young wide receivers out there, they'll get to see him under not ideal situations. Last year, that was an ideal situation for him to have those two guys on the outside. Now he's got youngsters out there, then pro scouts will know that, and how he handles the offense, how he checks into plays, how he doesn't get frustrated when he's not throwing for 400 yards, but he's making enough plays for us to win. I think he's going to only help himself in the draft.
Yeah, Coach, I want to ask you about the schedule because you're going to look at the schedule a little differently than the fans. Fans tend to evaluate it immediately and say, win, win, potential win. That could be tough, tough, win, win. But for yourself, when you do see Michigan and Washington State and Boise State, TCU, and all of these tough teams, do you view it as a challenging schedule even before it starts?
Well, I think it's challenging, but now this is going to sound like coach speak, but it's not. You know, I honestly don't worry about any of them except the first game because you can't do anything about the schedule. I mean, football coaches don't make the schedules. ADs do. It's different than basketball. Basketball coaches have a lot to do with the scheduling. Football coaches don't get a choice because it's about making money as well as going home and home. I mean, we're making a lot of money to go play Michigan. So I don't really worry about it. What really scares me the most is San Diego State has played Cal Poly twice in the history of the school and hasn't beat them yet.
Oh, my God.
We'll change that around, yeah?
You're bringing up tough memories, but yes, I realize that.
Well, that's how important that first game is to us.
Sure.
Coach, I'm looking, you know, we're talking about Ryan Lindley and how he's going to be a stud and a senior, you know, for the leader for the offense. I get it. But let's not forget about Miles Burris right there, a highly decorated senior defender for you guys in the old 3-3-5 defense. What are you looking for from Miles as far as leadership this year?
Well, Miles had a great year last year, and obviously we expect the same thing out of him. Now, what has happened here, and I think it's happened over the last 2.5 years, is that the seniors have taken ownership, and the seniors as a total group, their leadership is probably the most important thing to your success. Now, the better player you are, the more influence you have when you lead. And Miles is obviously a very good player. He's going to be in the NFL someday. And the way he works and the way he practices has a lot to do with the attitude that those kids on defense will have.
Coach Rocky Long getting ready for Cal Poly. That's where it all starts. Before you go, have you talked to Brady Hoke since he got the job out in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, we've talked probably 3 or 4 times.
Okay, so there's not any friction between Brady and his former staff.
Although we want there to be, Coach. We want it.
Just for one day we want it.
Well, there'll be a lot of friction one day out of the year, but no, we're good friends, but that doesn't mean you don't compete like hell.
There you go.
Good. That's what fans like to hear. Coach, great to have you on the show. We're wishing you nothing but the best. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me, guys. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely, Coach. Thank you.
You got it. There's Rocky Long.